Michael Carter opened the door and stepped inside the house, eager to see his daughter after a long time apart. But where was Lily? Lily! The bedroom empty, the playroom dark. With every door he opened, panic rose higher. Then he found her, standing on a plastic chair in the kitchen, her small hands red and raw, submerged in soapy water, scrubbing a mountain of dishes from a party she had never been allowed to taste. 6 years old, lost in a pile of filthy plates, while her stepmother laughed happily with her lover. The little girl turned around, her eyes filled with fear. "I'm sorry. I'll be more careful." Michael Carter, a veteran, realized that he had failed miserably in the most important mission of his life. But the fight for his daughter was only just beginning. The clock read 10:15 p.m. Michael Carter had just completed an 18-hour flight from Germany, turning down end-of-year award galas and ceremonies so he could come home to see his daughter. He had imagined the moment his wife and daughter surprised, overjoyed to see him standing at the door. What he found instead was the complete opposite. Through the living room window, Michael saw Amanda, his second wife, sitting at the dining table with a man. Crisp laughter rang through the room. On the table, lobster and steak still steamed, an expensive bottle of wine tilted beside crystal glasses. It was a flawless picture of an upscale life. But what made Michael freeze was not that scene. It was the absence of a child. Where was his daughter Lily, 6 years old? Michael pushed the door open and stepped inside. The sound of the key scraping in the lock made Amanda start and turn around. The elegant face of the 5-year-old woman flashed with panic before she quickly covered it with an awkward smile. "You're home without telling me?" Amanda stood up, smoothing her glossy blonde hair. "I'm entertaining a guest. This is Ryan, my business partner." Ryan Mitchell sat there and gave an embarrassed nod. "Where is Lily?" Michael's voice was cold as November ice. "Oh, she's washing dishes." Amanda waved casually toward the kitchen. "Kids have to learn chores, you know." But Michael didn't hear the rest. He was already rushing toward the kitchen, his heart pounding. Cold, fluorescent light shone down on a sink, overflowing with soapy bubbles. And there, standing on an oversized plastic chair, was Lily, her small legs trembling. The skinny 6-year-old's long hair, once silky, now clung damply to the back of her neck. Her old clothes were torn at the shoulder, revealing marks along her arm. Her tiny hands were submerged in dishwater, the skin red and irritated from prolonged exposure to chemicals. The stack of dishes rose like a mountain, the aftermath of a lavish party. Plates smeared with lobster sauce, wine glasses, heavy cooking pots, all of it left for Lily's little hands to clean. "Lily," Michael whispered, frozen in place. She startled and turned around. The plate slipped from her hands and clattered into the sink, her wide brown eyes filled with terror. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break it. I'll be more careful." The apologies coming from the cracked lips of a 6-year-old child felt like a vice tightening around Michael's heart. He stepped closer, staring at her hands swollen, reddened, rough, her fingernails dark with grime. How much did Lily weigh? 33 pounds? 35? A child her age should have weighed at least 45. Michael lifted her down from the chair, feeling her fragile ribs through the thin fabric. She was soaked with dishwater and sweat. "I'm sorry," Michael whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart." 4 years earlier, Michael remembered the day all too clearly. The day his wife, Rachel, took her final breath in a stark white hospital room. Cancer had taken the woman he loved, leaving behind a 2-year-old daughter and a man who didn't know how to raise a child alone. Just 18 months later, at a charity gala in downtown Chicago, Michael met Amanda. She was tall and elegant in a navy blue dress, smiling as she said, "You look like you could use a companion." Amanda introduced herself as a pediatric nurse, someone who loved children and had cared for many of them. She spoke of her dream of a warm, complete family. Michael, exhausted from being a single father while serving in the military, believed her. He married Amanda after just 4 months of dating, despite his mother Linda's warning, "Son, don't rush into this." But Michael rushed, because he needed someone at home when he was deployed to Europe, because he thought money and a mother figure would be enough to make Lily happy. He was wrong. Michael carried Lily into the living room. She trembled in his arms, too frightened even to cry. Amanda stood up, her elegance gone. "You come home without warning? I'm teaching her discipline. Children need rules." "Discipline?" Michael growled, struggling to hold back his boiling rage. "You call starving my daughter and hurting her discipline?" "I didn't hurt her," Amanda shouted back. "She's bad, she causes trouble. I was just— You turned my daughter into a servant, Michael roared. The noise brought Mrs. Garcia, the 5-year-old neighbor, hurrying over. The elderly woman, with silver hair and tear-filled eyes, looked at Lily, then at Michael. Mr. Carter, I've wanted to tell you for a long time. I've seen that little girl forced to rake leaves in the rain, wash windows in freezing weather. But I was afraid of interfering in another family's business. Michael began to shake. Every piece fell into place. The video calls where Lily was always silent. The dinners, Amanda said Lily was tired and went to bed early. The bruises she explained away as kids falling down. Amanda stepped forward, her tone changing completely cold. Cruel. Fine. The truth is, I only wanted your money. And that kid, she pointed at Lily, she's a burden. I'm not a free babysitter. Ryan stood up, trying to leave, but Michael blocked him. You knew too, didn't you? Ryan hesitated, then nodded. I'm sorry. Michael stopped listening. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911. I need an ambulance and the police at 1247 Willow Creek Drive. Immediately. In her father's arms, Lily finally cried not soft sobs, but the broken, wrenching cries of a child who had been silent for far too long. Michael held her tightly and swore into her hair, I will never leave you again. Never. The unfamiliar red and blue lights of emergency vehicles began flashing outside, but in Michael's mind there was only one thought. He had failed miserably as a father, and now he would spend the rest of his life making it right, even if it meant giving up everything. The fluorescent lights at St. Mary's Hospital flickered at 11:30 p.m., casting a harsh glow over Lily's pale face. She lay on the examination bed, curled beneath an oversized white blanket. Michael stood beside her, gripping his daughter's hand, small and icy cold. Dr. Patricia Morgan, 42 years old with 20 years of experience in pediatrics, adjusted her glasses as she read the chart. Her eyes had seen countless cases, but this time they were wet. She removed her glasses, wiped them quickly, then turned to Michael. Mr. Carter, your daughter is suffering from moderate malnutrition stage 2, she said, her voice trembling slightly. There are old and new bruises all over her body, indicating prolonged abuse. Severe stress disorder, she startles at every sound, and a skin infection caused by improper hygiene. Dr. Morgan paused and looked Michael straight in the eyes. Mr. Carter, this child has endured more than any child ever should. Michael couldn't speak. He only nodded, swallowing the lump of pain in his throat. An hour later, in a special interview room designed for children, filled with toys and stuffed animals, Lily sat on a chair far too big for her small body. Dr. Helen, a 38-year-old child psychologist with a gentle voice, sat across from her. Detective James Wilson, 45, calm-faced and deliberate, took careful notes. Lily, can you tell me what a typical day is like for you? Detective Wilson asked softly. Lily looked down, her hands clenched tightly together. Her voice was barely a whisper. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I make breakfast for Mom, Amanda, and Uncle Ryan. Fried eggs, coffee. If I burn it, Mom will. She stopped, her body trembling. What will she do? Dr. Helen asked gently. She'll hurt me, or pull my ear. Lily touched her ear lightly, where a faint bruise was still visible. Detective Wilson continued writing, struggling to keep his voice steady. And after that? At 6:30 I go to school. Mrs. Garcia takes me. At 3:30 I come home, sweep the yard, clean the windows, wash clothes. At 6 p.m. I cook dinner. At 7 I eat. With Amanda? Dr. Helen asked. Lily shook her head hard. No, I eat leftovers off the floor. Mom says I don't deserve to sit at the table. The room fell into a suffocating silence. Detective Wilson had to stop writing, clenching his fist to hold himself together. And at night? He asked. At 8 I go to sleep in the basement, on a thin mattress, a torn blanket. Lily looked up, her brown eyes filled with tears. Doctor, did I do something wrong? Mom says I'm bad, that I'm a burden. She says Dad already abandoned me. Doctor, Helen knelt down and gently wrapped her arms around the little girl. No, Lily, you did nothing wrong. You are very brave. Outside the room, Michael sat slumped in a chair, his head buried in his hands. Every word Lily spoke felt like salt rubbed into an open wound. Video calls flashed through his mind, Lily always silent, Amanda always explaining. She's tired. Lily's 6th birthday, when he sent an $800 Paris doll instead of coming home to blow out candles with her. Nights in the military barracks, comforting himself with the thought that sending $4,000 a month was enough. My daughter cried for help through silence. Michael whispered, tears streaming down his face, and I didn't hear her. Rushed footsteps echoed down the hall. Linda, Michael's mother, 62, her hair silver, arrived, having just flown in from Florida. She wrapped her arms tightly around her son, feeling his body shake. Son, stop blaming yourself, Linda said, her voice quivering. Now you need to act. Michael looked up, his eyes red but resolute. I will never leave Lily alone again, Mom. Even if I have to give up everything. Give up the military? Linda asked softly. 18 years of service. 2 more years for full retirement benefits, Michael said. But I don't care anymore. Lily needs me beside her, not far away, sending money. Linda nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. I support you. Late that night, Michael sat by Lily's hospital bed, holding her hand as she slept. She still startled from time to time, murmuring in her sleep, I'm sorry, I'll be good. Michael bent down, kissed her forehead, and whispered, I promise you, I'll turn hell into heaven. I'll be with you every day, every hour, every minute. I will never leave you again. The hallway lights cast long shadows across the floor. In Michael's hand, his phone vibrated a message from Captain Rodriguez. Michael, are you sure about your decision to leave the service? Michael didn't hesitate. He typed back, more certain than ever, sir. My daughter needs me. Sent. Done. One chapter closed, but a new one far more important had begun. Michael watched Lily sleep. The guilt that once filled his eyes was now replaced with steel-hard resolve. He would fight. He would protect her. He would heal every wound on her body and in her heart, no matter the cost. 3 days later, Detective James Wilson and Officer Maria Santos, a 2-year-old child protection specialist with steady, determined eyes, stood in front of the house on Willow Creek Drive. Mr. Carter said there were security cameras, Officer Santos said, as she unlocked the door with the key Michael had provided. He installed them before his deployment, and Amanda didn't know they existed. Detective Wilson nodded and stepped into the living room, the same place that, just 3 nights earlier, had been filled with forced laughter. Now there was only silence and the faint scent of wilted roses. They discovered hidden cameras embedded in picture frames, decorative lamps, and bookshelves. Michael had prepared thoroughly, a soldier always on guard. When they pressed play, what appeared on the screen made both officers hold their breath. Video dated August 15. Amanda slapped Lily for breaking a drinking glass. 5 slaps in a row. The child fell to the floor, sobbing. Video dated September 3. Lily knelt on the floor, scrubbing by hand for 2 straight hours. Amanda sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, occasionally shouting, "Not clean. Do it again." Video dated September 20. Lily was locked inside a dark closet. Her heart-wrenching cries echoed from inside. "I'm sorry. Please let me out. I'm afraid of the dark." Officer Santos had to turn away, quickly wiping tears from her eyes. Detective Wilson gripped his pen so tightly his knuckles turned white. They continued their investigation. In Amanda's home office, bank statements lay scattered everywhere. Each month, she had consistently withdrawn the money Michael sent home and transferred it to Ryan Mitchell. Love emails between the two dated back 10 months, discussing plans for a new life, after they had taken care of the burden. "The burden," Officer Santos read aloud, her voice shaking with anger. They called a 6-year-old child a burden. 2 days later, Amanda and Ryan were having dinner at Le Bernardin, one of Chicago's most luxurious French restaurants. Candlelight flickered, red wine glistened, and soft violin music filled the air. Amanda giggled and clinked glasses with Ryan. "Finally free of that soldier. My lawyer says, Miss Amanda Reynolds." Detective Wilson appeared, 2 officers stepping in behind him. Amanda startled, her face draining of color. "What do you want?" "I'm in the middle of... You are under arrest for first-degree child abuse, child endangerment through neglect, and financial fraud," Detective Wilson said, reading each charge in an icy voice. "You have the right to remain silent." "I did nothing wrong," Amanda screamed, jumping to her feet. "That child is bad. She needed discipline. You call starving her, beating her, and locking her in the dark discipline." Officer Santos stepped forward, snapping handcuffs onto Amanda's wrists. We have video. All of it." Amanda went pale. Ryan tried to stand and flee, but 2 other officers blocked him. "Mr. Ryan Mitchell, you are under arrest as an accomplice to child abuse." The entire restaurant fell silent as diners stared. Amanda kept screaming until she was placed in the police car, but no one was listening anymore. Justice had arrived. Within the veteran community, news of Michael Carter spread like wildfire. Marcus Thompson, his close friend and fellow soldier, 38 years old, sat in front of his laptop, eyes red after watching the hospital video Michael had sent. "My brother-in-arms needs help," Marcus typed on a GoFundMe page. "Michael Carter served his country for 18 years. Now he needs us to protect his family." 48 hours later, the total reached $67,000 from 1,200 donors. Messages poured in. "You're not alone. We stand with you. Lily deserves a better future." Pastor David Morrison, a 55-year-old minister from the local church, organized a prayer vigil. More than 200 people attended, candles glowing in the darkness. Mrs. Garcia and 12 neighbors signed sworn statements, volunteering to testify. "That child never deserved this," Mrs. Garcia said, her voice trembling. "If my testimony can help her, I will tell everything I know." Attorney Elizabeth Chen's office was located on the 15th floor, overlooking Lake Michigan. She was 48 years old, with 25 years of experience in divorce and custody law, her graying hair neatly tied back. Michael sat across from her, with Linda beside him. "Mr. Carter, we have strong evidence," Elizabeth said, opening the file. "Video footage, medical reports, witness testimony, but this fight won't be easy." "Why not?" Michael asked. "Amanda has hired Harrison Webb, a notorious attorney who's won 87% of his difficult cases. He will try to shift the blame onto you, a father absent for 520 days over the past 2 years. Elizabeth looked Michael straight in the eye. "They'll argue that you neglected your daughter and that Amanda was merely strict with discipline." Michael clenched his fists. "I'm ready to face anything as long as Lily is safe." Elizabeth nodded, respect in her eyes. "Then we fight." At Street, Mary's hospital, 2 weeks passed. Michael slept every night in a chair beside Lily's bed. Nurse Joy Martinez, a 29-year-old with a warm smile, taught Lily how to play with dolls, draw pictures, and sing cheerful songs. At first, Lily refused to eat. "I'm scared that if I eat too much, Mom will hurt me," she whispered. Dr. Morgan knelt down and held Lily's hand. "Sweetheart, that cruel stepmother isn't here anymore. You're allowed to eat when you're hungry. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to be a child." Day by day, Lily ate a little more. Day by day, color returned to her cheeks. And one afternoon, when Michael blew up a rabbit-shaped balloon and let it float around the room, Lily laughed the clear, joyful laughter of a 6-year-old child. Michael stopped and looked at her, tears filling his eyes. This was the greatest reward of all. A week later, Michael stood in front of apartment 302 on Maple Street, a 2-bedroom place, just a 5-minute walk from Oak Elementary School. He turned the key and pushed the door open. Sunlight poured in like a warm welcome. "This is our new home, sweetheart," Michael said, taking Lily's hand and leading her inside. She looked around, her eyes wide. The living room was small but cozy beige sofa, wooden coffee table, a window overlooking the park. But what made Lily stop in her tracks was the room at the end of the hallway. The door opened to reveal a pastel pink world. The walls were painted softly, like the colors of dawn. A princess bed with white tulle curtains, floral embroidered blankets and pillows, a bookshelf neatly filled with storybooks. Stuffed animals, bears, rabbits, puppies sat in every corner like friends patiently waiting. Is this mine, Dad?" Lily whispered, her voice trembling. Michael knelt down to her eye level. "Yes, sweetheart, all of it is yours. No one can take it away. No one will ever make you afraid again." Lily wrapped her arms tightly around him and sobbed, but this time they were tears of happiness. The next morning brought the first real challenge, braiding hair. Michael stood behind Lily, holding a comb and hair ties, completely lost. Her hair reached her waist, tangled like a bird's nest after a night's sleep. "Dad, can you braid my hair for me?" Lily asked softly. Michael swallowed hard. He was a soldier who could assemble an M16 rifle in total darkness, but he didn't know how to braid his daughter's hair. 15 failed attempts later, the hair was more tangled, Lily winced from the pulling, and Michael was sweating, on the verge of giving up. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Garcia stood outside with a gentle smile. I brought a housewarming gift, and I could hear you complaining all the way down on the first floor. She showed him quickly. Divide the hair into 3 sections, cross them over, keep the tension even. On the 16th try, Michael succeeded. The braid was a little crooked, but it held. You're amazing, Dad, Lily said, turning around with a bright smile. That look alone made every effort worthwhile. The next challenge, shopping for clothes. Michael took Lily to the store and picked out mostly blue and green shirts, what he thought were neutral. Linda had to fly in from Florida, shaking her head with a laugh. Son, little girls don't dress like they're in the military. Then she took her granddaughter shopping, choosing floral dresses, pastel pink tops, ballet flats. Lily tried them on, twirled in front of the mirror, her eyes lighting up. Do I look pretty, Grandma? You're beautiful, sweetheart, Linda said, hugging her, tears filling her eyes. Cooking was another disaster. Michael only knew how to cook the army-way grilled meat tough as stone, mushy boiled potatoes. Lily tried to chew, swallowing with difficulty. Mrs. Yuki Tanaka, their 5-year-old Japanese neighbor, knocked on the door with a pot of rice balls and miso soup. Mr. Carter, let me teach you, Yuki said with a smile. A child needs good food, not combat rations. Meal by meal, Michael learned. Meal by meal, Lily ate better, her cheeks growing rosier. New routines began. Every morning at 6:30, Michael gently woke Lily with a kiss on her forehead. They made breakfast together, fried eggs, toast, chocolate milk. Lily was allowed to set the table, learning chores not out of fear, but out of love. Every afternoon at 3:30, Michael stood at the school gate. Lily ran into his arms. Dad picked me up right on time. They went to the park. Michael pushed the swing. Lily giggled. Playing with Jake and Mia, kids from their building, Lily slowly reclaimed her childhood. Every evening, they cooked dinner together, did homework, Michael relearning first-grade math. Bath time followed. Then Michael sang lullabies off-key enough to make Lily laugh. Dad, you sing so badly, but you still like it, right? Michael laughed. Because it's your voice. Reading Frozen before bedtime, Michael said softly. I love you. I'll always be here. At her first therapy session with Dr. Helen, Lily refused to speak. She just sat and drew a dark house, a tiny little girl in the corner. Dr. Helen didn't push. Lily, you don't have to talk yet. This is a safe place. Michael sat beside her, holding her hand, patient. Week 1, Lily still startled at sudden noises. Week 2, Lily said, Dad, more naturally. Week 3, Lily laughed more and played with friends. Week 4, Lily drew a new picture, a bright house, a father and daughter smiling. The official discharge papers arrived. He lost retirement benefits worth $1,200 a month. Marcus asked, Michael, do you regret it? Michael looked at Lily playing nearby. No, this is the best decision I've ever made. He took a job at the Veterans Support Center, earning $3,500 a month, with flexible hours enough to pick Lily up from school every day. Late at night, Michael wrote in his journal, Day 30 as a full-time father. I'm still clumsy, still make mistakes, but Lily is healthier every day. Lily tiptoed in and hugged him. Dad, I love you. Michael held her tight, tears in his eyes. I love you too, sweetheart. Forever. On a spring morning at 8 a.m., the Cook County Courthouse in Chicago was filled with sunlight and tension. Michael stood in front of the granite building, dressed in a black suit and navy blue tie. Beside him, Lily wore a pure white dress, her hair braided neatly, far more skillfully than before, after 6 months of Michael's practice. She held her father's hand tightly, trembling slightly. Dad, I'm scared, Lily whispered. Michael knelt down and looked her straight in the eyes. It's okay, sweetheart. Today is the day we tell the truth, and the truth will protect you. The courthouse hallway was packed with reporters, camera flashes popping like fireworks. Linda, Marcus, Mrs. Garcia, and Pastor Morrison sat in the rows behind them, Michael's silent but steadfast army. Judge Catherine O'Brien entered the courtroom, 58 years old, silver hair neatly tied back, eyes sharp yet warm. A mother of 3, she had witnessed countless tragedies but never lost her devotion to justice. At the defense table, Amanda wore a navy blue suit, her hair carefully styled, maintaining a facade of elegance. Beside her sat Harrison Webb, a notorious 52-year-old attorney, calmly arranging his files with confidence. Ryan Mitchell sat farther away, trying to distance himself from the case. At the plaintiff's table, Elizabeth Chen wore an elegant grey suit, Beside her sat Detective Wilson, Dr. Morgan, and Dr. Helen, those who had seen Lily's wounds firsthand. "Mr. Carter," Harrison Webb stood up, his voice sharp as a blade. "How many days have you been absent over the past 2 years?" Michael swallowed hard. 520 days, sir." 520 days, Webb repeated, raising his voice. "That's more than 70% of the time. Do you consider yourself a good father?" Michael lowered his head. "No, I failed." Webb turned to the jury. "You heard that, ladies and gentlemen. He admits failure. He abandoned his daughter to pursue a military career and now blames the woman who stayed behind to care for her." Objection. Elizabeth Chen sprang to her feet. "Counsel is distorting the facts." Judge O'Brien struck the gavel. "Sustained. Mr. Webb, respect the witness." Elizabeth turned to Michael, her tone gentle. "Mr. Carter, why did you serve in the military?" "To protect the country, to earn money to support my daughter. I thought that was the best way," Michael said, his voice shaking. "Did you send money home regularly?" "Yes, $4,000 a month, every paycheck." "So where did you go wrong?" Michael looked up, tears streaming down his face. "I thought money was enough, but my daughter doesn't need money. My daughter needs ME." The words landed like a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples through the courtroom. The lights dimmed. A large screen lit up. The surveillance videos played 5 clips, each one a knife stabbing into the hearts of those watching. The courtroom fell into suffocating silence. One juror, a mother of 2, wiped tears continuously. Judge O'Brien frowned deeply, gripping her gavel. Amanda sat in shock, knowing there was no escape. The screen shifted to a private room. Lily sat beside Dr. Helen, her image projected onto the large screen to reduce stress. Elizabeth Chen spoke gently. "Lily, can you tell me what a typical day was like for you?" Lily's voice was barely a whisper. I woke up at 5:30. I cooked for Mom and Uncle Ryan. Did you get to eat with them?" Lily shook her head. "No, I only ate leftovers, if there were any." "Were you ever hurt?" Lily nodded, crying. "Yes, Mom hurt me when I didn't do things right." "Do you remember what she said to you?" Lily sobbed. "She said, Dad abandoned me, that I was a burden." Michael bent forward, crying out loud. Linda wrapped her arms around her son, unable to hold back her tears. Harrison Webb sat in complete silence, no defense left to offer. Mrs. Garcia took the witness stand, her voice trembling. "I saw the child raking leaves in the October rain. She was shaking. I brought her a coat, but Amanda yelled at me not to interfere." Sarah Henderson, Lily's teacher, testified. "Lily changed completely from a happy child to one who was silent and fearful. I tried calling Mr. Carter, but Amanda always blocked the calls." Dr. Morgan stated, "In my 20 years as a physician, I have never seen a case this cruel. If she hadn't been rescued in time, the child might not have survived." Dr. Helen added tearfully, "Lily suffers from severe PTSD. The psychological damage could last a lifetime." Judge O'Brien stood, her voice firm and unwavering. Turning to Amanda, she said, "You turned an innocent child into a servant. You stole her childhood." Turning to Michael, she continued, "You made a grave mistake by being absent, but you acknowledged your failure and took responsibility to correct it." She struck the gavel 3 times. "The divorce is granted. Michael Carter is awarded full custody of Lily. Amanda Reynolds permanently loses all visitation rights and is ordered to pay $200,000 in damages. Court is adjourned. Justice has been served." Michael wrapped Lily tightly in his arms. "We won, sweetheart," Lily cried. "I love you, Dad. I was so afraid of losing you." Applause thundered around them. Marcus called out, "You did it," Linda said through tears. "I'm so proud of you." That night, father and daughter ate pizza and slept side by side in peace for the first time in 6 months. Justice had won. Love had won. 2 months after the ruling, on a hot June night, Michael jolted awake at 2 a.m. to the sound of crying. He rushed into Lily's room, his heart pounding. She was curled up in the corner, hugging her knees, her shirt soaked with sweat. Her eyes were wide open, but she wasn't fully awake. "Don't hurt me. I'll be good. I'll do better," Lily screamed, her voice raw with terror. Michael dropped to his knees and gently wrapped his arms around her. "I'm here, sweetheart. No one is hurting you. You're safe." It took 20 minutes before Lily fully came to, realizing she was in her pastel pink bedroom, not the dark basement of her nightmares. She clung tightly to her father, trembling. I dreamed about Amanda again. Michael held her for the rest of the night, his heart aching. Winning in court had only been the first step. The wounds in his daughter's soul ran far deeper. The next morning, in Dr. Helen's office, soft sunlight filtered through yellow curtains. The doctor sat across from Michael, explaining patiently. Mr. Carter, PTSD doesn't disappear just because the environment changes. Lily endured 8 months of hell. Her brain has been conditioned to live in fear. She needs time, possibly years, to relearn what safety feels like. Dr. Helen prescribed a mild anti-anxiety medication suitable for children and increased therapy sessions to twice a week. Michael nodded, but his mind was already calculating. An additional $400 a month. Where would the money come from? That night, Michael sat at the kitchen table, bills piled high like a mountain. His checkbook showed $12,000 remaining from the $67,000 raised 2 months earlier. The money was draining away fast. He did the math. Rent, $1,800. Therapy, $800. Insurance covered only half. Medication, $300. Living expenses, $1,500 total. $4,400 per month. His salary, $3,500 per month. Shortfall, $900 per month. The phone rang. A bank representative spoke in a cold, formal tone. Mr. Carter, you're 3 months behind on rent. The landlord is requesting payment or vacancy within 30 days. Michael hung up, set the phone on the table, and buried his face in his hands. The courtroom victory suddenly felt fragile. If he lost the apartment, where would Lily live? He tried to find extra work. A warehouse needed overnight workers from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., paying $15 an hour, but Lily needed her father at night. Nightmares could strike at any moment. Michael tried freelance work online, fixing electrical issues, assembling furniture. He earned an extra $600 a month. Still short $300, Linda called from Florida. Son, let me send you some money. No, Mom. Michael refused firmly. You're retired. That money cost you your health. But you and Lily are struggling. Michael's voice broke. I'll manage, Mom. I promise. Marcus called next, his voice heavy with concern. Michael, I can lend you $10,000. No interest. No, you've already done too much for me. This is when you need help. Don't be stubborn. Michael was silent for a long moment, then sighed. All right. I hate to burden you. One evening, Lily saw her father counting money, his brow furrowed with worry. She walked over quietly. Dad, are we running out of money? Michael tried to hide it. No, sweetheart. I'm just checking things. Can I stop going to therapy so you can save money? Michael turned and pulled her into a tight hug. Never, sweetheart. Your health matters more than money. But that night, after Lily fell asleep, Michael sat alone in the dark living room. 15 missed call notifications from creditors. Bills stacked everywhere. He asked himself, am I doing the right thing? Am I making her life harder? The thought of re-enlisting crossed his mind. Higher pay, full benefits, but he dismissed it immediately. Lily needed her father by her side, not far away again. A painful decision followed. Michael sold his old Mercedes for $35,000 and bought a used Honda for $8,000. The remaining $27,000 was enough to pay off debts and create a 6-month buffer. But there was one more thing. His Rolex watch, the one his father had given him before passing away, lay in a velvet box. He picked it up, the metal gleaming under the light. So many memories attached to it, but Lily mattered more. He sold it for $12,000. When Lily saw him selling the watch, she asked quietly, that was Grandpa's watch, right? Yes, sweetheart. Would Grandpa be sad, Dad? Michael knelt down and looked at her. Grandpa would understand. Family is more important than things. Lily hugged him. When I grow up, I'll buy it back for you. Michael smiled through tears. You don't need to do that, sweetheart. All I need is for you to be healthy. Late that night, Michael wrote in his journal, Month 6. I thought after the trial things would get easier, but life isn't simple. Money is still a struggle. Lily still has nightmares. Some nights I wonder if I'm strong enough, but I have no regrets. Every time I see her smile, even for a second, I know I chose right. Victory isn't the absence of hardship. Victory is enduring hardship for the ones you love. Michael set down his pen and looked out the window. The moon shone brightly over the Chicago sky. The road ahead was still long, but they would walk it together. That day, at exactly 3:30 the afternoon, Michael stood at the school gate as he did every day, right on time, just as he had promised. First graders poured out, their chatter and laughter filling the air. Jake ran past, waving. Mia struggled with her heavy backpack as her mother waited at the gate, but Lily, Michael's daughter, was nowhere to be seen. "Where is Lily?" Michael asked Sarah Henderson, the 8-year-old teacher supervising dismissal. Sarah startled. She came out with the others. "Let me check again." 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. The schoolyard gradually emptied. Michael felt his chest tighten, a familiar, suffocating sensation of fear. "Lily! Lily Carter!" Sarah called out loudly into the now empty hallway. There was no response. Michael rushed into the school, his heart pounding like a drum. "Lily, where are you?" Principal Margaret Lewis, a 50-year-old woman, ran out of her office. "What's going on?" "Lily is missing," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "Check every room." "Now," Principal Lewis ordered. 5 teachers split up to search. Michael ran through classroom after classroom, 1A, 1B, 1C, all empty. The nurse's office, nothing. The library silent. With every door he opened, the panic rose higher. "Where is my daughter?" Michael nearly shouted, his voice breaking as terrifying memories flooded back. Sarah ran up to him. "Mr. Carter, we've checked everywhere. Wait, there's one more place." She led Michael to the school basement, a storage area rarely used. The lights were dim, shadows pooling in every corner. The smell of dampness hung thick in the air. And there, in the farthest corner, behind stacks of old desks and chairs, Michael heard sobbing, tiny, fragile, like the cry of an abandoned kitten. "Lily!" Michael rushed forward. She was curled up in the dark corner, hugging her knees, her body shaking uncontrollably. Her hair was tangled, her face soaked with tears. Her reddened brown eyes looked up, but she didn't seem to recognize him. "I'm sorry. I'll be good. Please don't lock me in. I'm scared of the dark," Lily murmured, her voice choking. Michael dropped to his knees, his heart shattering. "Sweetheart, it's Daddy. I've come to pick you up." But Lily didn't hear him. She stayed curled up, staring into the distance. "I'll do better. I promise. Please don't hurt me anymore." Sarah stood behind them, covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Michael moved closer, his voice as gentle as he could make it. "Lily, look at me. I'm Michael. I'm your dad. No one is hurting you. Amanda isn't here anymore." Lily looked up, her eyes slowly clearing. "Dad? That's right, sweetheart. I'm here." Michael opened his arms. "Dad, you didn't abandon me." Lily's voice trembled. "Never, my love. I came to get you right on time. I always come on time, I promise." Lily burst into tears and threw herself into his arms. Michael held her tightly, feeling her body tremble. He stroked her hair and whispered, "It's okay now. I'm here. I'll always be here." 10 minutes later, in the principal's office, Lily sat on the sofa, still gripping her father's hand. Principal Lewis handed her a cup of warm chocolate milk. Sarah sat across from them, her eyes still red. "Can you tell me what happened, Lily?" Principal Lewis asked gently. Lily spoke softly, her voice breaking. I heard the dismissal bell. I went to the gate to look for Dad, but I saw darkness at the end of the hallway. It looked like the basement." Michael tightened his grip on her hand. "I was scared Amanda would lock me in there again. I ran away. I hid somewhere dark, so if I got locked in, it wouldn't hurt as much." Lily sobbed. Sarah wiped her tears. "She's experiencing PTSD. Dark places trigger her traumatic memories." Principal Lewis nodded. "We'll make sure all hallways are well lit, and a teacher will personally walk Lily to the gate every day." Michael hugged his daughter and whispered, "Sweetheart, I know you're scared, but Amanda isn't here anymore. She's in prison. She can't hurt you again." "But I still hear her voice. In my head," Lily said quietly. Michael looked up at Sarah. "We need to call Dr. Helen." That evening, in Dr. Helen's counseling room, Lily sat on the sofa holding a stuffed bear. Dr. Helen explained to Michael, "PTSD in children often shows up as flashbacks, past memories flooding back suddenly when triggered. For Lily, the triggers are darkness, confined spaces, or the feeling of being abandoned." "How do I help her?" Michael asked, his voice heavy with pain. "Patience, consistency, and above all, your presence. Lily needs to know that you are always there, every day, on time. never changing. Dr. Helen turned to Lily. Sweetheart, I want you to remember this. The dark isn't dangerous anymore, because your dad is always with you, and the light will always come. In the weeks that followed, Michael did exactly as Dr. Helen instructed. Every day at 3:30 p.m., he stood at the school gate, not a minute late. Sarah personally walked Lily out and handed her to him. Michael hugged her and said, I'm here, right on time, just like I promised. Day by day, Lily grew less afraid. Day by day, the light returned to her eyes. And one afternoon, Lily ran out of the school gate, no longer looking around in fear, but smiling brightly. Dad, I knew you'd come. Michael knelt down and hugged her tightly. I will always come, sweetheart, always. And this time, Lily believed him, truly believed him. Then, at last, Michael received his first piece of truly good news. Director Sarah Walsh, silver-haired, with kind, steady eyes, called him into her office. Michael, you sacrificed your career for your family, she said, handing him an envelope. We want to help you. The Veteran Support Center had just launched a new program called Second Chance Housing, subsidized housing for veterans facing hardship. Michael had been selected a better two-bedroom apartment for just $800 a month instead of $1,800, a savings of $1,000 a month. In addition, a $200 monthly food voucher and free school tuition for Lily. Michael held the envelope, tears spilling over. Thank you so much. You deserve this help, Michael, Sarah Walsh said gently. You've shown us what it truly means to be a father. At therapy session number 32, Dr. Helen sat across from Lily in a counseling room filled with stuffed animals. The 6-year-old was taller now, her cheeks rosier, her eyes brighter. Lily, is there anything you'd like to talk about today? Dr. Helen asked softly. Lily was quiet for a moment, then spoke in a trembling voice. Doctor, I think I've forgiven her. For the first time, Lily spoke of Amanda not with fear or anger, but with the word forgiven. Why do you think that? Dr. Helen asked. Because I don't feel angry anymore, Lily said. I just feel sad. After the session, Dr. Helen explained to Michael, this is a major step forward. Lily is moving from anger to acceptance. That's a sign of healing. Michael nodded, tears rolling down his face. His daughter was learning how to let go of the past. The single-parent support group led by Annie Brooks, a 5-year-old psychologist, met every Thursday evening. Michael met 8 other parents. James, divorced and raising an autistic son. Maria, a widow raising 3 children. David, a veteran with a daughter suffering from heart disease. Michael shared his story from the night he found Lily to the sleepless nights worrying about money. Several people cried. James said, You make me feel like I'm not alone. Maria added, Your story gives me hope. Annie Brooks looked at Michael. Have you thought about sharing this more publicly? A lot of people need to hear it. 1 month later, Michael stood on a stage in a large auditorium. 500 people, service members, families, officials, sat in silence. The spotlight shone down as Michael gripped the microphone, his voice trembling. I used to think I was a good father because I sent money home regularly, he said. I was wrong. He paused, swallowing hard. My daughter doesn't need a Rolex watch or dresses from Paris. My daughter needs me. His voice grew steadier. It nearly cost my daughter her life for me to understand this. Defending our country is a duty, but protecting our family is the highest responsibility. If our children are not safe, what are we protecting this country for? The entire auditorium rose to its feet in thunderous applause. Lily watched the video of the speech that Grandma Linda had recorded. Her eyes shone. Dad, you were amazing. You're a hero. Michael hugged her. No, sweetheart, I'm not a hero. I'm just a father doing his best. At the same time, 300 miles to the south, inside Dwight Correctional Center, Amanda sat in a cold prison cell. A reporter interviewed her via video. Do you regret what you did? Amanda looked down, her voice hollow. I regret it, but it's too late. I've lost everything. The scene shifted back to Michael and Lily laughing together in their cozy apartment, cooking lasagna side by side. Warm yellow light, clear, joyful laughter. Good deeds are rewarded. Wrongdoing has its price. The therapy group organized a picnic for the children. Lily met Sophie, 8 years old, also abused by a stepmother. David, 7, neglected by his father. And Emma, 6, who had witnessed domestic violence. The children played and laughed together. Lily said to her father, "I'm not the only unlucky one, but we're all getting better every day." Michael hugged her, his heart full of pride. That evening, Michael cooked lasagna, Lily's favorite dish. She helped him happily, no longer afraid. After dinner, Michael handed her a small box. "Sweetheart, this is something I want you to have." Lily opened it. Inside was a gold necklace, the heart-shaped pendant engraved with the words, "Lily, my brave daughter. Dad, I love it so much, but—" "You already sold Grandpa's watch," Michael hugged her. "Things can be bought again. Time with you cannot. I chose you, sweetheart. Always." That night, Lily slept wearing the necklace and had no nightmares. Michael wrote in his journal, "Month 10, we've made it through the hardest part. There are still challenges ahead, but now I know this, we are strong enough. Love is strong enough." The moon shone brightly outside the window. They had found the light after the storm. 1 year, 365 days since the night Michael found Lily in the basement. Now they sat in a cozy Italian restaurant on Michigan Avenue, candlelight flickering softly across the table. Lily, now 7 years old, had grown 10 centimeters taller, reached a healthy weight of 22 kilograms. Her long hair shone, her face was radiant, and her brown eyes no longer held fear. "Dad, a year ago I was really scared," Lily said, looking down at her plate of spaghetti bolognese. "But now I'm not afraid anymore." Michael set his fork down and took her hand. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You've been incredibly brave." "I wasn't brave," Lily shook her head. "You saved me." Michael smiled, tears glistening. "No, sweetheart, we saved each other." The following Monday morning, Director Sarah Walsh called Michael into her office overlooking Lake Michigan. She handed him an envelope. "Michael, you've been promoted to Program Director. Salary, $4,800 a month. Your mission is to build support programs for single-parent veterans." Michael stood there, stunned. I don't know what to say." "You've become a symbol for our community," Walsh said. "Your story has changed many families. Now it's time for you to help even more." The program launched a month later: free legal counseling, psychological therapy for children, and subsidized housing. In the first 6 months alone, it helped 87 families. Michael found new meaning, turning personal pain into a mission to help others. At Oak Elementary School, Principal Margaret Lewis called Michael, her voice full of excitement. "Mr. Carter, Lily has changed remarkably. She's happy, confident, and her grade average is 9.2 out of 10. She even helps other children, especially new students who are shy." Michael listened, his heart swelling with pride. His daughter hadn't just healed, she was bringing light to others. At a therapy session with Dr. Helen, Lily sat confidently on the sofa, her legs swinging. "Lily, I think we can reduce our sessions to once a month," Dr. Helen said. "Really? Am I better now?" "You're doing much better, but you'll still need to check in from time to time." "Yes, but I'm not scared anymore." Dr. Helen handed her some drawing paper. "Today, I'd like you to draw a picture of your family as it is now." Lily drew for 20 minutes. When she finished, both Dr. Helen and Michael were stunned. The picture overflowed with bright colors: a sunny house, a garden full of butterflies, a father and daughter smiling beneath a deep blue sky. In the corner, Lily had written in cursive, "My family, where I am loved, Dr." Helen placed the old drawing beside it, the dark house, the tiny girl curled in a corner. 2 pictures, 2 opposite worlds, a symbol of the healing journey. That weekend, Marcus hosted a barbecue in his backyard. 15 former comrades came to celebrate Michael. Sergeant Davis, now retired, clapped Michael on the shoulder. "Michael, you did what many people don't have the courage to do. You gave up your career to save your family." Captain Rodriguez raised his beer. "The military lost a great soldier, but the world gained a remarkable father." Applause followed, glasses raised. Michael felt the bond of brotherhood not just on the battlefield, but in life. One evening, Michael sat with Marcus and Annie Brooks in a small cafe, discussing a bold idea: to open a center to support abused children. Michael said, "We'll call it Lily's Light." Annie's eyes lit up. "What services?" "Free therapy, legal counseling, temporary shelter, educational programs." Marcus nodded. "I'll help raise funds." Michael's story spread across social media platforms. Courtroom footage went viral. Online fundraising reached $500,000 in 3 months. Corporate sponsors added another $300,000. Total, $800,000, enough to open the first center. On December 15, exactly 1 year after Michael saved Lily, the grand opening of Lily's Light Center took place. 200 people attended: veterans, affected families, journalists, local officials. A red ribbon stretched across the entrance. Michael stood at the podium, Lily holding his hand. His voice trembled as he spoke. 1 year ago, I saved my daughter from the darkness. Today, we open this center to save other children. He paused and looked at Lily. The center is called Lily's Light, because my daughter taught me this. No matter how dark it is, light always finds a way. Lily stepped up to the microphone, her voice trembling but clear. My name is Lily. I used to be very scared, but my dad saved me, and now I want to help other kids like me. Thunderous applause filled the space. Many wiped away tears. Lily cut the ribbon with her father, smiling brightly under the winter sun. 6 months later, Lily's Light Center had supported 127 abused children, 89 single-parent families, and helped win 15 legal cases. 100% of the children received free therapy. These numbers weren't just statistics, they were lives changed. That night, Michael and Lily sat on their apartment balcony, gazing at the Chicago stars. The winter wind was cold, but together they were warm. Dad, Lily said softly, I think Mum Rachel would be proud of you. Michael was surprised. You think so? Yes, because you turned something bad into something good. Michael hugged her, tears streaming down his face. I didn't do it alone, sweetheart. We did it together. They sat in silence, watching the stars sparkle. A year ago, they were in darkness. Now, they were light for others. Pain had become hope, loss had become purpose, and that was the greatest victory of all. One afternoon, Michael received a call from New York. Jennifer Walsh, an editor at a major publishing house, spoke with unmistakable excitement. Mr. Carter, your story needs to be told to the world. We want to publish your memoir. Michael hesitated. I'm not a writer. You don't need to be a writer, she replied. You just need to be honest. The title, When a Soldier Comes Home, A Father's Journey from Failure to Redemption. Every night after Lily fell asleep, Michael sat in front of his laptop, typing line by line. From the night he found his daughter, through the courtroom battles, to the long road of healing. The hardest part was writing about the most painful moments. Each word felt like reopening an old wound, but he knew this. His pain could become hope for someone else. One evening, Lily, now 8 years old, her hair falling past her shoulders, sat beside her father as he wrote. She asked softly, Dad, do you ever regret leaving the military? Michael stopped typing and turned to her. No, sweetheart. It was the right decision, the best one I've ever made. But you lost so much. I lost money. I lost a career. Michael nodded. But I got you back, and there is nothing more valuable than that. Lily was quiet for a moment, then her voice trembled. Dad, thank you for saving me. But I'm sorry that you had to sacrifice so much. Michael held her tightly, tears streaming down his face. Never apologize for that. Family is not a sacrifice. Family is a choice. At the University of Chicago, in a lecture hall filled with 300 students, Michael stood at the podium under bright lights, the weathered face of a 42-year-old soldier before them. He began his lecture, Protecting Our Children, From Theory to Action. The 3 biggest mistakes I made as a father. First, I thought money was enough. I sent $4,000 a month, but my daughter needed me, not money. Second, blind trust. I trusted Amanda because she was good at pretending. I never verified. Third, emotional absence. I called every week, but I never truly listened to my child. He paused, scanning the room. 3 lessons of redemption. First, presence matters most. Nothing replaces being there for your child every single day. Second, act quickly when something feels wrong. If your instincts tell you something is off, trust them. Third, be willing to give things up to protect your child. A career can be rebuilt. A child's childhood cannot. The hall was silent, then erupted in applause. 47 students later emailed to say thank you. 12 decided to change their career plans to spend more time with their families. A letter arrived from Dwight Correctional Center. Amanda's handwriting was uneven and shaky. Michael, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. What I did to Lily cannot be justified. Every day in prison, I think about that child's face. I think about what I took from her. I'm not apologizing to be forgiven. I'm apologizing because I need to say it. Please tell Lily. She was never bad. I was. Amanda. Michael finished reading and sat in silence for a long time. He took out a sheet of paper and wrote a reply, but never sent it. He wrote it to heal himself. Amanda, I once hated you, but I don't anymore, because hatred only hurts me, not you. I do not forgive you because you do not deserve forgiveness, but I release you from my mind. You no longer have any power over my family. Lily is living a good life now, and that is the greatest victory. Michael. He burned the letter, the small flame consuming the past. Letting go was not weakness. Letting go was strength. Michael told Lily about the letter. She asked, Dad, do you forgive Amanda? I don't forgive her, he answered. But I don't hate her anymore either. What about you? Lily thought for a long time. I don't hate her either. I'm just sad that she never knew how to love. During therapy, Dr. Helen nodded. Lily, you've grown so much. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness means not letting the past control the future. Lily's Light Center launched a new program, Father and Daughter Mentorship, pairing single fathers with daughters who had experienced trauma. 25 families signed up in the first month. They cooked together, went on outings, shared stories, and attended group therapy. 3 months later, 87% of the children showed psychological improvement. 92% of fathers reported stronger emotional bonds with their daughters. These weren't just numbers, they were families being rebuilt. On November 15, exactly 2 years after Michael saved Lily, the book was released. At a Chicago bookstore, 400 people lined up. Michael signed each copy, listening to every story. One father said, Your story saved my family. I decided to come home more. One mother said, My daughter was abused too. Your book gave me hope. A 9-year-old girl whispered, I'm like Lily. I'm getting better now. That night, Michael and Lily sat together on the sofa under warm yellow light. Lily asked, Dad, now a lot of people know our story. Do you mind? Do you? He asked. Lily shook her head. No, if my story helps another kid, then I'm happy. Michael hugged her. That's why I wrote the book, to turn pain into hope. They sat quietly, feeling each other's warmth. They had come a long way from victims to survivors to sources of inspiration, and the journey was still continuing. This story is not meant to be read and then simply set aside. It reminds us of a painful but vital truth. Money, career success, or the belief that we have fulfilled our responsibility can never replace timely presence, genuine listening, and real protection for a child. Children do not always cry out for help sometimes. They cry out through silence. If you are a parent, a caregiver, a teacher, or simply an adult in a child's life, ask yourself honestly, have you truly seen and heard them? If this story made you reflect, please leave a comment sharing your feelings or the lesson you took from it. Share this story with at least one friend who is a parent. It may help save a childhood. And if you have ever experienced or witnessed similar harm, speak up. You are not alone. One share, one comment today could be a light for a Lily somewhere out there.